how much did my £4,000 portfolio make me in the last 30 days in terms of growth? Let's get right into it. Okay guys, so normally I do a dividend breakdown, but I thought it'd be interesting to see how much value my portfolio has actually grown over the last 30 days. Now, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be starting with our smaller holdings, and then we're going to be working up to sort of like our mid-tier holdings, and then we're going to be looking at our larger holdings at the end to see how much money we gained in terms of value in the last 30 days or lost. Okay, so starting off with our smaller holdings, we have BT. Now, the current value in the portfolio is £7.41, and over the last 30 days, BT was actually up 14.89% and also has a really good dividend yield at nearly 5% as well. So that's really cool. Now, Zymeworks is up next. Now, the current value in the portfolio here is £9.67, and this represents an increase of 14.61% in the last month. So going off the first two is fantastic. However, they are the smallest holdings in the account. I wish they were the larger ones, but they're the smaller ones. Now, Zymeworks and the next stock we're going to be talking about, Farmers National Bank, coming in at £9.97 current value. They're both free shares. So I didn't have to buy these stocks, didn't have to buy these shares. I got them for free because amazing people like you started their investment journey by clicking the link down there in the description, investing with Freetrade. I got a free share, you did too, and we created money out of thin air. So if you want to do that, links down there in the description. So Farmers National Bank, current value £9.97. Now, this is the first stock that was down, but it's only down by 0.56% over the course of the last 30 days. Now, next up, we have Primary Health. Current value here is £10.31, and this was up 4.86%, which is amazing for a 1 month performance. But it doesn't feel that way because of BT and Zymeworks being up nearly 15%. But next up, we have Money Supermarket. Now, the current value here is £10.63, and we were up 0.47%. So still up, which is great, 0.5% there. Vodafone's up next. Now, Vodafone's a really interesting one. I'll put something on screen now so you can see Vodafone's journey. Now, their stock price over the last 5 years has fallen off the edge of a cliff, but they seem to have stabilized recently, which is good. Nowhere near recovering. But over the last 30 days, Vodafone were actually up, which is good news for Vodafone, up 6.55%. But as you can see by that graph there, yeah, they've had some tough times over the last few years, but hopefully there's this green shoots of recovery coming for Vodafone. Next up, we have Aviva. So the current value of Aviva is £12.05, and we were up 4.55%. So that's nice there. So we're seeing quite a few ups. There's big downs coming, and unfortunately for me, they come when we start looking at our larger stocks, which we'll get into later. But yeah, next up we have First Internet. Now, this again is another free share. So like before, I didn't have to purchase this. It's mine to do what I want with, keep hold of it for the dividend or sell it. And I only got it because you amazing people click that link in the description and decided to invest and start your investing journey. So the current value there is £17.78, and it was down 2.18% over the last 30 days. But again, I didn't have to buy it, it's just free money. Next up, we have IG coming in at £21.26 current value, and this particular stock was down 1.57% over the last 30 days. And now rounding off our smaller holdings, we have Admiral. A bit of a jump here, so we're coming in current value at £32.77, and we were down 1.56% over the last 30 days. Right, so that's all the smaller holdings out of the way. Let's now get on to the mid-tier holdings. So again, there's quite a jump here to start off the mid-tier holdings. So we're starting with Shell, and we finish off the mid-tier holdings with United Utilities. So the current valuation of Shell we have is £53.40. Now, Shell was actually up 5.83% over the course of the last 30 days, which is great. Next, we have VHYL. Current value here is £54.71p, and that was also up 1.40%. Next up we have Diageo, so it's Guinness and them sort of beverages, giant in the space. And we have a current value here of £58.68p, and they were actually down 7.65%. I don't know why that is. I remember recently there was like shortages of Guinness, but is that a bad thing because everyone's trying to buy your product? I'm not sure. Maybe it's something to do with the manufacturing. Not too sure, but they've come down quite a bit recently, but hopefully they can stabilise over the course of the next few months. Then we have Legal & General, which has an incredible yield of like 8.5%, I think, in terms of dividend. But Legal & General, current value is £62.98p, and we were up 5.40% with Legal & General, so that's really good. Next up, we have VUSA. Current valuation here is a bit of a jump, is £84.08p, and we were up 0.24%. So over the last 30 days, it's nearly broke even, but it's nice that we've seen that little bit of profit there. Next up is the banking giant HSBC. So the current value here is £112.67p. Now, we were actually down 0.90%, so almost 1% down over the last 30 days with HSBC. National Grid's up next. So we have £116.71p current value of National Grid, and this represents an uptick of 4.44% over the course of the last 30 days. Seeming to have a pretty good 30 days. We'll see at the end of the video how that impacts the actual value of the portfolio and how much we've grown, but it is pretty good. Spoiler. And now just rounding off the mid-tier holdings in the account, we have United Utilities. So current value here is £128.04p, and we were up 9.40%. Fantastic. Really, really good. And it also has a dividend yield of 4.5%. So very good for United Utilities. Now, next up, we'll be starting off with our larger holdings. And so we've got BAE Systems. I always get that wrong when I talk about it on the videos. BNA Systems, or every variation under the sun apart from what it's actually called. BAE Systems is what we're going to be starting with. And we're going to be going all the way through to our S&P 500 holdings, which is the largest holdings in the account. So BNA Systems, current value is £154.98p. And these guys were up 13.06% over the course of the last 30 days. Cool. Next up, we have BP. A little bit of a jump here again. So we have £184.53p invested into BP, and they were up 2.85% over the course of the last 30 days. Now, next up, we break that 200 barrier in terms of holdings. So we go to GSK, and we are sitting at a current value of £216.72p with GSK, and they were up 13.40%. And that's not the best performer. Now, even the BT and the Zymeworks gets beat in a minute. But yeah, hold on to your hats. So that's a really good month for GSK. They're up nearly 14%. Fantastic. Unilever's up next. So we have £232.92p currently invested into Unilever. And over the course of the last 30 days, they were up 2.09%. Now, the big winner. The big winner over the course of the last 30 days is British American Tobacco. Current value here is £250.50p, and this represents an uptick or an increase in value of 17.1% over the course of the last 30 days. That would be absolutely incredible if it was a year's performance, let alone just a month. So I'm expecting that to be on the downward side next month, but no, for the last 30 days, British American Tobacco has done fantastic, up 17% there, over 17%. Next up, we have Tesco. Current value here is £261.66p, and they were up 8.65%, which is really nice. And again, that is amazing, but we've just spoken about a stock that's up 17%, so it doesn't feel as amazing, but it is. That's an incredible performance over the last 30 days. Rio Tinto, current value here is £256.62. And Rio Tinto were actually down nearly 9%, so 8.86%. Rio Tinto were down. And now the big one in the account. So this is pretty much going to dictate if we had a good growth month or a bad growth month. So this is the S&P 500, ticker symbol VUAG. So current value in this particular stock is £1,777.53p. And over the course of the last 30 days, this represents an uptick of 0.20%. So it's almost broke even, but we have a little gain there, which is really nice. So now, all of these numbers that I've just mentioned are actually updating in real time. So we might actually be a few pence up or a few pence down if you add it all up with the calculator, because it is updating in real time. But currently, the total value in the account is £4,166, and this means we are up overall 2.93%, so nearly 3%. And that means that our grand total gain in value over the course of the last 30 days is £122.16p, which is amazing. Now, not only that, I'm going to run you through some numbers now just to show you how amazing that is. So my wage at work last month, and if this is the first video you're watching to the channel, I work a minimum wage job in a warehouse, and it's my dream to go from that to being a millionaire, and you will see that happen here on this channel. So my wage at work last month was £1,765.78p. Now, this means my portfolio gained me in terms of just wealth, just growth on the portfolio without dividends or additional streams of income or anything like that. My portfolio gained me an additional 6.91% of my monthly wages on top of my monthly wages. So that's actually an unbelievable number. Now, I have multiple streams of income, not just my job, which means that number is actually over 10%. So over the course of the last 30 days, 10% of the money that I've earned in terms of dividends or growth in the portfolio is over 10% of the money that I earned at work. Now, that is amazing to think about, and it's something that I've dreamt of and tried to push for a long time, but never actually realized. Now, bit of debate as to whether you can count growth in the portfolio as realized gains, because I'm not selling, not for a very long time, but it's interesting to think about. Without the growth in the portfolio, my overall percentage away from work was around 3.5%, if I remember. And so this would take it over 10% if you're counting that. But let me know if you would count that or not. Again, I haven't sold anything, so it could go down next month, which I imagine it will, because this is a pretty good month. Now, talking of different streams of income, I recently spoke to you guys about all the different streams of income that I have hit in my bank account, how much that totals, where's it coming from, what I expect in the future. Fingers crossed. And if you want to check that out, that video will be linked right there. But apart from that, I'm Steve. This is the Extra Income Boss. I will see you guys again in that one, where I reveal all. See you next time. Peace.